Plus, the Vegas Golden Knights' incredible run has come to an end. We have reaction from fans and players about the historic season. But first, we have a 13 Action News update to breaking news you first saw right here on Good Morning Las Vegas. Chopper 13 fast and first over the scene of a homicide. This is right near Cary and Pecos. But within the last couple of hours, we have learned that 3 people were shot and 1 of them has died. 13 Action News reporter Marissa Kinniston tells us what people in the area are now saying.
For some neighbors, it's a familiar scene. Crime tape surrounding homes, police in front investigating. Today's shooting has neighbors here concerned about the amount of crime in their neighborhood. Back in April, police arrested these 2 men after a man was shot and killed at a party near Lake Mead Civic Center, less than 2 miles from today's shooting. And in May, another North Las Vegas man killed near Civic Center in Cheyenne, that one just 2 miles away. We talked with neighbors about the crime in the area. One person said she's now afraid to go outside.
And I'm afraid to go out at night, but I do. So yeah, there's a lot of crime around here. They need more patrols around here.
Again, police say 1 person has died. They are still trying to figure out what exactly happened and what led up to this shooting. Marissa Kinniston, 13 Action News.
And we have an interactive map showing the murders investigated in Las Vegas this year so far, and you can find that up on our website, KTNV.com. All right, it is Friday. People looking ahead to the weekend, and it sounds like, Justin, we actually have a pretty nice weekend ahead of us.
It's not going to be too bad, not too hot. There will be some wind that we'll have to work our way around, but outside right now, very typical early June Las Vegas weather. 90 degrees at 11 o'clock in the morning. A lot of sunshine outside. We've got a few folks in the low 90s, like Southern Highlands at 93, Green Valley at 92, that Henderson thermometer downtown. Very, very toasty, already showing 96 degrees just to the east of the 95. High temperatures a few hours from now up to 101 here in Las Vegas, 100 in North Las Vegas, and pushing to 101 down on the south side of the valley. Our weather timeline suggests temperatures quickly climbing through the low and the upper 90s on either side of lunchtime. It's the hottest part of the afternoon around 4 to 5 p.m. I'll let you know exactly when those winds are going to start to whip up, and we'll talk about how long they'll last for the weekend coming up next.
All right, thank you, Justin. We have a tragic story this midday. CNN has announced that Anthony Bourdain was found unresponsive in his hotel room in France. Police say the cause of death was an apparent suicide. Molly Hunter is having a look back at his career right now.
Perhaps the most famous chef in the world, a jet-setting, swearing and smoking one, and a brilliant storyteller.
What I don't want it to be is like all the other happy travel and food shows.
And he wasn't, not like anyone else on television. He was simply the coolest, sharing Vietnamese noodles with President Obama in Hanoi.
Now, is it appropriate to just pop one of these whole suckers in your mouth?
Well, slurping is totally acceptable in this part of the world.
No matter his training in the kitchen, he'd become one of the best reporters. His memoir about the dark corners of New York's restaurant industry, Kitchen Confidential, put his name on the map, and he took his act on the road, visiting more than 100 countries with the show No Reservations. And later, he moved to CNN to host Parts Unknown.
We have some terribly sad news.
Friday morning, the network announced he had committed suicide in his hotel room in France, where he was shooting an episode for next season. He was just in Hong Kong with his girlfriend Asia Argento, who also directed the episode, tweeting this video, grooving here with the crew just 4 days ago. Bourdain's suicide comes the same week fashion designer Kate Spade took her life in New York. She had been battling mental illness for years.
I always say we should think of this no differently than heart disease or cancer, but mental illness does not discriminate.
And that was ABC's Dr. Jen Ashton. Her ex-husband actually committed suicide, and we have gotten new numbers from the CDC. Suicide is on the rise in the U.S. There's been a 25% increase in the last 2 decades, and last year alone saw 45,000 people commit suicide. Molly Hunter, ABC News, London.
Shocking statistics there. Well, that same report by the CDC shows that Nevada is actually the only state in the entire country that saw a decrease. But listen, right now there are people standing by to help anyone who needs someone to talk to, and they are always available. It is the National Suicide Prevention Hotline. That number is 1-800-273-8255. A 13 Action News update. 2 tourists killed inside Circus. Now police have a man in custody. 31-year-old Julius Trotter was taken into custody in Los Angeles yesterday after a car chase. Now, before that happened, police released this surveillance footage. Police believe that this was a random burglary that just escalated to a murder. And Contact 13 is digging deeper into his past. According to court records, this is not Julius Trotter's first run-in with the law. In fact, he should have been behind bars at the time of the alleged crime. There was a warrant out for his arrest in a different crime. Contact 13 learned that on January 14th, 2017, Metro stopped Trotter because he was weaving in and out of traffic. But according to that arrest report, Trotter ran back to his car and then tried to take off, dragging an officer about 75 feet. In a plea deal, Trotter was found guilty for resisting an officer with a dangerous weapon. He got 5 years probation, but court records show that he violated the terms of that probation, and a bench warrant was actually issued on May 23rd. That's just 10 days before the 2 visitors were stabbed to death inside their hotel room. Well, registered voters are running out of time to vote early in the primary election. You have until the end of the day today for early voting. So far, this has been the busiest early voting period in a primary election. Primary election day, by the way, Tuesday, June 12th. So if you want to vote that day, there are going to be 172 voting centers open. Well, sadly, the Vegas Golden Knights will not be the Stanley Cup champions this year. They lost 4-3 last night to the Washington Capitals, losing the series 4-1. This win is the Capitals' first championship in franchise history, so you have to be a little happy for the team here. It was a magical first season for us, but they came up just a little short. Fans still proud, though, of what the team accomplished.
Like I said, we're proud. We're a strong city. We come together and look where we are.
Players we spoke to say it's still too soon. They haven't really processed everything that's happened, but they realize they did something so many people thought was just impossible.
After you get past losing here, it's, you know, you can look back and be pretty proud of the group in here and what they've done.
As we all remember, the Knights first took the ice just 9 days after the 1 October tragedy, helping the city become Vegas strong. Well, if you would like to relive some of the Golden Knights' memorable run, we had so many great things to go through. We have an entire section dedicated to the team, to the fans, to all the excitement up on our website, KTNV.com. Well, still to come, Facebook facing another privacy problem, how 14 million users had their privacy compromised. Plus, the new plan by Uber to be able to detect when their users have been drinking. Justin.
Today, not so windy, only a couple of 20-mile-per-hour gusts this afternoon. Tomorrow, different story. Pretty blustery Saturday. The winds will peak during the afternoon at 35 miles per hour. We'll talk about the hour-by-hour wind forecast, and I will let you know when the hottest weather so far this year shows up in our 7-day planner.
Facebook is facing another privacy problem. 14 million users around the world had their default sharing settings set to public. So the bug affected new posts that were posted from May 18th through the 22nd. Facebook says the glitch happened during a testing period of a new feature. So when they realized what happened, Facebook went back and changed the settings during that time frame to private. But affected users, you will get a notification on your app or on the website to let you know. Facebook says the notification signals a new proactive, transparent approach to problems moving forward. Well, Uber wants to know when you've had a few too many drinks. Now it's turning to artificial intelligence for answers. The ride-sharing app has published a patent application to identify drunk passengers. It describes an algorithm that will weigh a variety of factors. We're talking things like typos, how precisely a user clicks, walking speed, and the time of day. So let me give you an example. If a rider is a little clumsy typing at 1 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday, well, they're probably going to be considered not sober. Uber plans to use that technology to better tailor its rides, either by warning drivers or matching them with a driver who has relevant experience or training. Still to come, an Arizona police department facing some backlash after being accused of using excessive force in several occasions. This midday, the unarmed man seen hit in this video is telling his side of the story. But first, we have Josh Bell in the studio, the Bell breakdown of a horror movie and an all-female cast of the Ocean series.
So if we're going to talk about the weather with respect to the weekend, we have to start off talking about the wind, because tomorrow early in the morning, not too big of a deal. Wind's only 7 miles per hour if you wake up around 8 o'clock. By late morning and certainly through the afternoon on Saturday, steady winds around 20 to 25 miles per hour. That's significant. On top of those steady winds, we'll catch a few gusts tomorrow afternoon of 35 miles per hour. And if you've got some Saturday evening plans, a 30 mile per hour wind gust possibility from time to time. So it will be blustery at least through the first half of the weekend. Now this Friday, it's reasonably calm outside, starting to heat up though. We've got a lot of sunshine, and that's going to translate into quite a bit of heat. 90 degrees right now at McCarran. It's 87 in Pahrump, 95 in Laughlin, 94 for our friends up toward Mesquite. Looks like temperatures will jump into the mid-90s next hour. Upper 90s from basically mid-afternoon to late afternoon, and 4, 5, 6 p.m. would be the likely time to sneak up to about 100 or 101 degrees around most of the valley. That'll be my forecast high for Las Vegas today, 101 degrees. We'll hit 100 even in North Las Vegas. Let's call it 100 as well out toward Boulder City. Temperatures late tonight, like several hours after midnight, will eventually settle down into the mid-70s, but it's going to be pretty mild for any of your Friday night plans. As we look ahead to the weekend, like I mentioned, starting in the 70s tomorrow morning, but even a little hotter. That wind tomorrow afternoon from the southwest, that'll give us a few extra degrees of heat. 103 tomorrow. Sunday, the breezes will try to switch around to the west, maybe even the northwest. They'll be much lighter. The wind is essentially a non-factor on Sunday. And we'll have a few high clouds, also temperatures pretty average in the upper 90s on Sunday, which is typical for June. A dry weather pattern also very common this month of the year. June is usually the sunniest month and the driest month here in Las Vegas, and that looks to be the case right on into the weekend. As windy as it will be on Saturday, I think it'll be just as calm on Sunday, so kind of a 50-50 weekend split with respect to the breezes. There's a lot more heat waiting for us next week. The hottest number I'll put in the 7-day planner is 106. That'll be next Wednesday. It's well above average, but thankfully well shy of any records. You do not want to get close to the records this time of year here in Las Vegas. Medium pollen levels right on through the weekend into Monday. Our 7-day planner says there will be a 5-degree drop through the course of the weekend, but the bigger deal on Sunday will be the calm conditions. Nice pool day on Sunday, and the heat gradually builds pretty quickly next week. 102 on Monday, 105 Tuesday, then 106 on Wednesday. We'll watch for the outside tiny chance of maybe a few showers trying to develop in this part of the country middle of next week, but Yasmin, right now we're going to keep things dry. I don't want to take time away from you because you and Josh Bell were in a pretty opinionated conversation about Star Trek, and who knows what that means for this movie preview. Listen, we have been discussing whether or not Star Trek, I'm going to get so much hate mail for this, is a superhero movie, and
it is definitely not.
I feel like we could discuss this for a long time, but the producer, I can already feel getting mad at me.
That's fair.
All right.
Fair.
So let's talk about the movies that are opening up this weekend.
Okay.
First one, let's talk about the horror one first.
Okay, Hereditary.
Okay.
With Toni Collette. It was at Sundance earlier this year and some other festivals. It's hugely hyped for people who like horror movies. It's the scariest movie ever, or at least the scariest movie of the year.
They say that every time.
And they do say that a lot, and a lot of the times it lives up to it, actually. I think there have been some really heavily hyped horror movies in the last couple years that have lived up to their expectations. This one, not as much.
Okay.
So Toni Collette plays this artist in kind of a troubled family. Her mother passes away, and her daughter, who's kind of maybe mentally challenged in some way, seems to be behaving in disturbing fashions, maybe related to demonic things that the late mother was involved in, and then other things progress from there. I won't offer too many spoilers because one of the appeals of this movie is that it goes in some unexpected directions. I think it has a lot of creepy moments, and Toni Collette is very good dealing with a lot of serious themes about grief and toxic families and stuff like that, and then it also gets into demonic possession and satanic rituals and things like that.
Naturally.
And I think those two elements don't come together as well as they could or should, and even as this movie is creepy at times, it maybe doesn't add up to as intense an experience as it's been billed to be. But I think for horror fans, there's enough here that's worth checking out.
Okay, all right, so
a qualified recommendation for this.
Fair enough. Maybe one of the most hyped movies for the last, I feel like I've been hearing about this movie for at least a year, is the new Oceans movie.
Yeah, they've been working on this for quite a while. It's a spin-off, Ocean's 8, a spin-off of the Ocean's 11, 12, 13 movies that we had a few years ago, and led by Sandra Bullock, who plays the sister of Danny Ocean, George Clooney's character, from the original movies, and she is also a criminal who likes to steal things, and so she gets out of prison and puts together her own all-woman crew, including Kate Blanchett and Mindy Kaling, Rihanna, Helena Bonham Carter,
cast.
Anne Hathaway. Yeah, a great cast, and they're going to pull off a heist at the Met Gala to steal this incredibly valuable diamond necklace.
All right, Josh, I'm nervous for what you're about to say.
It's a fun movie.
Oh, what? That's great.
Yeah, if you like the other Ocean's movies, it's very similar. It's got a couple cameos from those characters. It has a similar breezy, kind of glamorous, stylish tone. Kate Blanchett and Sandra Bullock have great chemistry. They're kind of the Clooney and Pitt of this movie, and they get along really well. And yeah, it has some slow spots, but overall, I found it very enjoyable. I'm happy to see that they're continuing this franchise because it actually works.
I'm so happy to hear that. All right, Josh Bell, what a great review. I'm super excited about that.
Yeah, go check it out.
Yeah, all right. For the Bell Breakdown, we're going to put all this online on our website a little later this afternoon. Stay with us. Thanks, Josh.